There is a photo that was taken of them at the Winter Walk, and it is now on every single promotional material that Sarah Circle puts
Oh,
out. They're like the
horrible.
poster family. It's great. So,
Well,
but
so I wasn't starting this to, toot the horn
no,
of
I
my family.
I think with children, they want to see. I think children really react well to anything that's hands-on, and they also react well to large social settings where they can see how other people are excited about something, and I think that gets them excited about something. And I think with any sort of volunteer effort, there's always some. In most cases, there's got to be something physical that's required of any volunteer. So in the kitchen, for instance, we often have young children serving meals to people or helping us organize food into bins, and they love it. They think it's great that they're being helpful and that people appreciate them, and that they're helping somebody else, and they can see the people that they're helping, which I think matters a lot to them. And then in the garden, I've never met a kid who doesn't love to explore a little bit in a garden. Actually, that's not true. I've met one kid who doesn't like to. But I think they're really interested in learning about something and understanding why it works or why it's important. And I think there's so many different volunteer opportunities available to families and to children that really teach children about how things operate and how they can be a part of it. And I think if you understand how you're a part of something, you're more inclined to want to be positively involved in something or be a positive influence on the whole.
I think too, when it comes to, kind of teaching children about homelessness, I think there are deep down, that's something that everybody can understand no matter how old you are, where you live, not having a home. And that's something I think that a child really could make sense of.
I think it's homelessness and hunger go hand. I mean, they're very easy to explain to somebody who can imagine it at a very young age that, oh yeah, that would be terrible.
Absolutely.
And I think it's easy for them to see, oh, well, maybe we should help somebody who doesn't have.
Right. It's a way to kind of teach compassion when you can bring it down to a level that anybody can understand, including a child. I mean, this is like basic stuff. Not having a home, not having food, not having what you need to live a healthy and productive life, and teaching it in a way that's not scary or that's not judgmental, but it's just understanding in a way that it's kind of loving, and it's a way that's accepting, and in a way then that is helping.
Yeah.
And I think kids like instinctually want to make things better for people. I know I have a 1.5-year-old and he's only 1.5, but when he accidentally whacks me with a book or something and I say, ow, he starts crying and hugs me and like pets my hair. I mean, he's really upset and he wants me to feel better. And I think that's an instinctual thing. When people see others suffering, they want to help them, even at a very young age. And so I think that's sort of something that's natural for kids to get, if you just give them the avenue to become involved with it.
To tap into Kelly, I so admire you getting your boys involved in that. I mean, it's like that's the epitome of like start them young and teach them how to give back and get involved. It's really amazing, and thank you.
I agree. And I think too, the younger you start them, the more that they'll think about it as they grow up, and the more creatively they'll be able to think about it and maybe figure out new ways to be involved and to make things a little bit better too, because they see things from a different perspective.
That's so true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important to us, and it's the way that I was raised as well. That our kids think about that they think about and we tell them the reason we are Democrats is because we think that the policies of the Democrats are the best way to help the most people. That's the frame we use for our political beliefs, and I may completely disagree with someone who thinks that the best way to help the most people is to do it through nonprofits or whatever. But as long as their goal is to help people, it's okay if we disagree on policy. There can be different approaches that can work. Where I get frustrated with politics is when it seems like the goal of the politicians is not to help people.
Yeah.
It's to help themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it feels very important right now. It's always felt important, but especially right now, to be very explicit with kids about, that we care about other people. And, whatever political beliefs they grow up with, I want the root of those political beliefs to be, I want to help the most people.
Yeah. I love that your kids, Kelly, know what Democrats are. They have an understanding of it, however simplified it may be for them to understand. I think that's really wonderful.
So when Teddy was 13 months old is when the 2012 election was happening. And he, at 13 months old, if you said Barack Obama, he said yay. And if you said Republican, he said boo. So, teaching, indoctrinating, who knows, but...
I just want to point out that Ren and I watched both conventions. He was, I don't know, maybe 6 months old. And he cried when Donald Trump came on television. My son knew what was going to happen and feared for America.
Did we all cry just a little bit?
Maybe more than a little bit, but yeah. Do we have any hopeful messages from our nonprofit experts?
Being involved in a nonprofit and being involved in volunteer work, it's about finding something that you connect with and getting involved. And whatever that means to you, it's kind of what you put out in the world, and you get that back. That's really why I continue to volunteer, why I continue to be part of Sarah's Circle, is it feels as good to give as it does to kind of receive. Volunteering is this kind of vicious circle, and it's a really good one where you're doing good work and it makes you feel really good. And I think that's something that's really important to put out into the world right now. And I think volunteering is a way to do that.
I agree, Devin. You've said it better than I could have. I would also say too, it's if you take a minute to listen to people who are struggling with something and who are the recipients of whatever it is that you're volunteering for, it makes you stop to think, oh, this actually does have an immediate effect on somebody's life, and it's important that we all work together to help somebody, even if it doesn't seem like we're making a huge impact. It's making a big impact for at least one person, and that one person matters just as much as a large group of people matter. And I think a lot of people get concerned that they're not good at anything, that they couldn't volunteer for something, but I just don't think that's true. There's always a skill that you can learn to help, or there's something that you possess that somebody might need in a volunteer. And I think that there's so many different organizations that can use more volunteers than they have. And so I would encourage anybody listening to this podcast, or anybody in general, to get involved in something and see if you like it. And if you learn something about that organization, then you've done a good thing for them and a good thing for yourself. And I don't think there are any organizations that would probably say no to an extra volunteer when they need it most.
That's absolutely true. Kelly and I were lucky enough to see Cecil Richards of Planned Parenthood speak, and there was a question from the audience, and this was very early after the election, and someone basically just asked, "What do I do? How do I get through this?" And her advice was, find something that you believe in and get involved. It doesn't matter what it is, but as long as you are dedicating yourself to serving others and putting out some good in the world, like, that's the first step. I mean, that's like the most basic step, and it just goes from there, because people see you doing good work and they want to do good work. Jamie, we do some meal services at interim housing at Sarah's Circle as well, and I've done 3 or 4, and there's people who come back and want to be part of every meal service because it's such a good feeling. And so it's just kind of put out that good in the world, and it just keeps building from there. And that's, I think, what volunteer work is all about.
Yeah, I think too, one last thing about it. A lot of people don't have enough financial security to donate a lot of money to organizations that they really believe in. But I think most people could probably carve out an hour out of their week, and time donation is just as valuable, if not more valuable, than monetary donation to a lot of places. So it's a good way to think about the way that you're contributing to an organization.
Well, I want to thank you both for all the work you're doing, because I think it's really incredible to hear those stories, and it's very inspiring.
Yeah, thank you both. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you, listeners, for listening to this episode. If you have any feedback, or you have any questions you'd like to ask us, or if you have any ideas for a future episode, you can contact us at twobroadstalkingpolitics@gmail.com. That's 2TWO. You can find us on Facebook, Two Broads Talking Politics Podcast. You can also find us on Twitter, and I have just joined Twitter, so it's pretty exciting. Our Twitter handle is Two Broads Talk, TWO Broads Talk. And please, if you have time, review and rate us on iTunes. That helps other listeners find our show.
And if any of you are interested in being guests on our podcast, email us and tell us what you'd like to talk about. We're gonna book through like January, February here pretty soon, so get on the calendar soon. Our theme music is called Sweeter Vermouth and was composed by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com. It is licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. Our logo was created by Matthew Weflin, expressly for Two Broads Talking Politics, and is copyright 2017. You can contact us at twobroadstalkingpolitics@gmail.com or at twobroadstalk on Twitter. Our podcast can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and TuneIn. Please let us know if you have any trouble finding us.